Here's my ranking of every open world franchise I have played. The series must have at least 2 games, that is the minimum criteria. Coming in at the bottom of the list, Just Cause. I really didn't want to put Just Cause at last place. This is what video games are supposed to be. Creative, fun, and without any restrictions. But these games need the right kind of player. If you treat it like any other third person open world, just running around shooting at things, you will hate it. Gunplay is average at best, but when you incorporate guns, the grappling hook, your creativity, and the environment, it is a blast. The game is nearly limitless. You can pretty much do anything you can think of. Thinking of stuff though is pretty hard. I just used my grappling hook to attach things to each other and somehow it worked. In the hands of a more creative player, the game will get better. Not to say it's all the player's fault, other than creative gameplay, these games don't really have much. Driving is pretty bad, the story is generic and characters are not memorable after 4 games. Just Cause 3 was my personal favorite. The world is diverse and pretty big but also pretty empty. The series doesn't have any real bad games, neither does it have any great games. So unfortunately, Just Cause is at last place. Up next, Far Cry. Far Cry 3 is one of the best first-person shooters ever. The story is amazing, the game world is perfect, vast is vast, gameplay is prime Ubisoft. Ubisoft games around this time were insanely fluid. They combined Assassin's Creed, Far Cry and Watch Dogs gameplay a little in the middle, and this was kind of the start of that, which helped all 3 games. Movement in particular, Ubisoft thought gameplay was so good, we have basically got the same thing ever since. Far Cry 2 was underrated. It doesn't hold up as well as Far Cry 3, but it's still pretty good. But every Far Cry since 3 has been the exact same thing in a different setting with a different villain who feels weirdly similar to Vas. I enjoyed Far Cry 5, 4 was okay, Primal didn't work for me and I'm obsessed with the prehistoric period. But setting a first-person shooter 10,000 years before guns were invented is something only Ubisoft could think of. Far Cry 6 was even worse. It was Far Cry 3.2 basically. Both games even had characters from the Breaking Bad universe as villains. It's a one-game series mostly, and because of that, Far Cry is almost at the bottom. This is not gonna help the like-dislike ratio, but up next we have Fallout. I was absolutely miserable playing Fallout 4, and Fallout 76 literally made me stop playing the franchise altogether. Even before the disaster that Fallout has become, I always preferred Elder Scrolls. Don't get me wrong, Fallout 3 and New Vegas are insanely fun, but they aren't good enough to even out Fallout 76. The 1-2 punch that is Fallout 4 and 76 soured me on the entire series. I never got to play the first few games, so it's 2 good games against 2 disappointing ones. You remove 3 and Fallout would have been dead last. Next we have Watch Dogs. Putting Watch Dogs above Fallout is definitely not good for the channel, but you know what? The original Watch Dogs is still one of my favorite open worlds. I remember how hyped up I was. I don't think I have ever watched a gameplay demo more than that E3 premiere. After release, the game got roasted left, right and center, but I was enjoying the game. It was downgraded, sure, the world wasn't as immersive as we were led to believe, not even close, but it has some amazing gameplay elements as well. Combat for one is very underrated. I prefer gunplay here to even GTA 5. Guns feel heavier and powerful, movement is snappier. Ubisoft made plenty of great Assassin's Creed before this, so they added some parkour and it worked. Aiden moves very well. Mission design is repetitive, but because combat was so much fun, I completed every gang hideout, not once but multiple times. I liked Aiden as a protagonist, and even though there weren't many interesting things to do in Chicago, I still love the world. Hacking could have been better, missions should have been more creative, but I have finished the game 2, maybe 3 times. Watch Dogs 2 and Legion were very different from the original, especially Watch Dogs 2. It was goofier and laid back. It was pretty much the opposite of the original. Gameplay was still solid. It was a huge improvement visually. Driving was a little better, but the tone of the game just didn't feel right for the series. Legion I liked better, it was grittier, and that's what a game set in a dystopian world should feel like. The play as anyone gimmick got old fast, but London as a whole was immersive. Overall, I enjoyed all three games, but the original is the reason the series is in the middle of this list. Next up, we have another Ubisoft IP, Assassin's Creed. When you have about 50 games in one series, it's hard to judge fairly, but just the number of games I've enjoyed in the series, Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3, Black Flag, Rogue, Unity, Origins, even Odyssey, Syndicate and Valhalla at times, I didn't hate my time with any Assassin's Creed, and believe it or not, there are some really good games in the series. AC2, 3, Unity and Black Flag are all amazing. I've always been a sucker for stealth and open worlds, and Ubisoft delivered that combination in every series of theirs, but more so in Assassin's Creed. They ruined stealth when they removed one-shot assassinations, but during the golden age of the series, sneaking around was very cool. Ubisoft are also underrated when it comes to building open worlds. These worlds aren't very immersive, but physically they are so well built. Paris and Unity is tiny compared to most open worlds, but it has a lot of interiors with multiple floors at times. Different parts of the city feel different. Same goes for many of the other titles. Egypt, ancient Greece, Renaissance Italy, those places alone can sell a game. Personally, Unity was when AC peaked. Combat was improved, it was more challenging. Combat in Black Flag and 3 were brutal and looked insanely cool, but they were just counterfest. But since Unity, it has been a steady decline. Story and characters peaked even earlier. Ezio and Altair felt like endgame protagonists, but they were the leads in the first two games. There is no following that. Mission design in AC2 is very creative for a Ubisoft game. Then it became just infiltrating different places, but in AC2 you flew in a flying machine built by Da Vinci. My personal favorite, as I said, is Unity, once again because of just raw gameplay. Black Flag was revolutionary for its time. If they stopped after Unity or even after Origins, I would have put Assassin's Creed one spot above. The next series is Mafia. Only the first 3 games because Old Country isn't a proper open world. This thing of ours is all over media, movies, shows, but games not so much. Mafia 1, 2 and 3 aren't great open worlds. You technically have an open world, but other than completing the main campaign, you don't really have that much to do. But boy is the main story great, and the first 2 at least. You're caught up in this dangerous world. In video games, that danger never translates. Yeah, 100 enemies are at my door, so what? But Mafia is grounded and it is intense. Even a foot chase or a fist fight has that intensity. There are big shootouts, but they feel real in a way no other game does. The plot is nothing short of extraordinary. I haven't played through these games in a while, but I can vividly remember a death scene in Mafia 2. The ending is heartbreaking. If you know, you know. The original Mafia was rough around the edges. Driving mechanics, my god. And it was the deciding factor on whether you completed the game or were stuck in a racetrack forever. Mafia 2 hugely improved gameplay and it was polished and it was just as intense as the first one, if not more. Then Mafia 3 came and it was bad. So repetitive, it barely felt like a Mafia game. It feels more like Mind's Eye. Look at Lincoln and look at the protagonist in Mind's Eye. The world was just as similar. Missions were more repetitive than a 2002 game and the quality of storytelling in a Mafia game just wasn't there. I barely completed it after being hyped up forever to play it. Mafia 2 is on the same level as GTA 4. I couldn't even compare Mafia 3 to GTA 5 as a joke. One game drags the series down as a whole. Next we have Elder Scrolls. This isn't totally fair as I've only played Skyrim and Oblivion. Morrowind is very popular, and going by how much I enjoy Skyrim and Oblivion, there's a good chance I would love Morrowind as well. Skyrim is the reason the next two series on this list are so high up. You could argue Oblivion was the first, but Skyrim did open world RPG so well it became a mainstream genre. Every open world after Skyrim has something from it. Exploration was never this freeing. You could go anywhere, but it was never worth it. In Skyrim, exploring is worth every second. You never know what you'd find. In an era where side quests almost didn't exist, Skyrim made them more entertaining than the main stuff. I'm not a die-hard Elder Scrolls guy, but the quality cannot be denied. While Skyrim was about exploration, Oblivion was the first time I realized the joys of role-playing. I didn't get the appeal of writing your own story. I wanted something epic already there like a mafia, but Oblivion changed that for me. Elder Scrolls changed a lot of things. It was a huge inspiration on two of my favorite series which are on this list, and for that I love this series even more. Up next, the true successor of Elder Scrolls, Kingdom Come Deliverance. High fantasy is great and all, but there's something about being a peasant with no home, barely any food, and no skills. KCD felt like a game made for me, except for the first person camera. I am a sucker for hyper-realistic, grounded worlds that aren't simulations. Kingdom Come offers something very unique, a game where your character is just another person. Especially in the first game, Henry is in the background for a lot of the cutscenes. Gameplay makes you feel like an extra as well. It's challenging, and it's the fun kind of challenge where you lose because you aren't skilled enough, not because the enemy has a huge health bar. Taking multiple enemies on is out of question for almost the entire game. Then KCD came out and it's a more mainstream game. It's challenging still, but not as much thanks to Master Strike mostly. Henry is a little more important. The world is bigger and better. For a world that's just green and brown mostly, it makes you want to explore every inch. That's more so because of the storytelling than the actual world. Random NPCs are interesting. Side quests have never been this good. There's a lot of variety. In RPGs of the past, you talk and then you fight, and that's mostly it. But KCD2 makes talking as fun as fighting. Then you're set out on these adventures with no combat. All you have are your wits and the masterful storytelling. Of course, you do have traditional quests as well with a lot of combat. Henry is a one-of-a-kind protagonist who doesn't have everything figured out, who isn't cool all the time, feels actually young and inexperienced, which makes your experience with the game unique. If and when KCD3 comes out, and if it's anywhere as good as the first two, KCD will climb up even higher on this list. Next we have Red Dead Redemption. I haven't played Red Dead Revolver, but let's take RDR 1 and 2 as a separate series. The original Red Dead was peak Rockstar. They were ambitious with the early GTA games, the worlds they built and the stories they told were already on another league. But GTA 4 and Red Dead 1 is when gameplay caught up in my opinion. The reason I say that is if you go back and play these two games now, they do not feel dated. Older GTAs, yeah, gameplay is a little outdated. Red Dead 1 was also Rockstar's best story-wise up until that point. RDR 2 is probably the only better story they have written. The Wild West as a setting for a game just clicks. John Marston made the game memorable, but the immersion came from this amazing world. It's considered a great open world, but it's almost a better third-person shooter. I enjoyed combat more in the first one. John moved better than Arthur, guns feel better. I had to change guns every few hours in RDR2 because it got repetitive fast, but even handguns felt good in the first game. RDR1 is high quality from beginning to end. It's not as long as the sequel. RDR2 gets a little repetitive in the middle. You do something goes wrong, Dutch gets more and more reckless. That starts to get old fast. Also, mission design isn't very creative. Even quests with hot air balloons just turn into shooting shooting galleries. On top of that, combat in RDR2 is too simple. Most players will figure everything combat has to offer before they even leave the mountains for the first time. Having said all that, the last stretch of Arthur's story, there is no video game story that kept my attention like that. It was a heartbreaking end to a great protagonist. The epilogue is fine, but if they ended with Arthur's story, I would have had an even greater opinion of the series. From one great protagonist to the next, we have The Witcher up next. The first two games aren't even proper open worlds, but the third one has enough open world for an entire series. Witcher made me love fantasy games. As soon as I saw magic in a game, I turned away. But The Witcher 3 made me obsessed with signs and potions and mutagens. I played Witcher 2 before Witcher 3 and I had fun. It wasn't anything special. Even Witcher 3, first few hours I liked it, but I wasn't obsessed. By the time I made my way to Novigrad, I was playing this game all day. Now a game's story is important to me, but it wasn't always like that. Witcher 3 was one of the first games where I was running around looking for cutscenes, because it's not just Geralt who's interesting. Nearly every side character, Yen, Triss, Vesemir, Dandelion, Controdem, they are S tier. Even one-time characters leave a huge impact because the game is about choosing the lesser evil. These decisions aren't black and white, and most often they have an impact on the world. You come across the same character 50 hours later to only realize you ruined their life. For CDPR's first real open world, Witcher 3 had no right to be this good. The first Witcher was clunky as f. It's not a fun experience playing it. But now, after getting to know the world of The Witcher, I enjoy the first two games a lot more because of the recurring characters. Witcher 2's gameplay is significantly better than Witcher 1, so even as a standalone game, it's good enough. With Witcher 4 on the horizon, the next time I make a list like this, Geralt might end up at the top. But right now, my favorite open world series is Grand Theft Auto. It's a vanilla answer, but the amount of great games this one series has is incomparable. When GTA 3 is the worst game in your lineup, you know it's hard to top. Some series in this list had quality, some had quantity, but GTA has both quality and quantity. GTA 3, 4 and 5, San Andreas and Vice City are all masterpieces in their own right. With GTA 6 coming out this year, this list might be solidified if it's as good as we are expecting it to be. San Andreas is my favorite GTA, followed by 5. I don't know, maybe it's Los Santos. The amount of times I've spent in Vice City and San Andreas alone is probably more than any two other games. And then you add a solid 5 years of playing GTA 5. And more importantly, enjoying every second, and there's no other series topping this list for me. And nostalgia is a big factor here as well, I know, but still, even going back, trying to look at it as objectively as possible, GTA is pretty good. The series has become so mainstream, it's underrated by actual gamers. It doesn't help that the series doesn't take itself too seriously. How can you compare whatever Trevor is to Arthur or Carol's story? Even so, Grand Theft Auto, for what it is, has little to no flaws. Combat isn't great, but the absurd number of weapons you have masks that. Driving has been up and down, but GTA 4 and 5 are the best of the bunch. Plot has never been out of this world good, but the characters you find in Los Santos, Liberty City and Vice City more than make up for it. I hope they improve combat in GTA 6, but other than that, make it like every other GTA and it is gonna be amazing. Well, that was my list. Give me yours in the comment section. Click the video on screen to see every Rockstar game ranked. For now, like, comment and subscribe. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you will love future videos as well. Thanks for watching and have a great day wherever you are.